What is the most brainwashed cult in the world? Scientology is running on its second, third, and now fourth generation, raised exclusively within the cult itself, peoples whose entire worldview is shaped in an echo chamber where they cannot know better because they aren't given access to the information. It's wild to me that there's historical record of Hubbard writing this stuff up, editing on the fly, and openly lying about things he did, yet these people believe fully in a god he invented and the nonsense rituals around it. How delusional can you be? It's really quite terrifying. It's a cult from the 60s. The largest one that has survived. A lot of the weirdness is baked in simply from being of that period. A lot of weirdness is baked in because Hubbard had bipolar disorder and was a patient in a hospital for schizophrenic people. He was diagnosed with whatever medical term was used before schizophrenia. His wife and possible wives stated he was a paranoid schizophrenic. Needing to clear yourself of little beings that live in you and control you. That's the fundamental basis of Scientology. Its self-help angle and culture of self-help from the 60s is probably what got it going. Schizophrenia, or the psychosis part of bipolar, probably has quite a lot to do with quite a few of the most popular religions today. See also Mormons. Did Joseph Smith actually say he was going to found a religion before he did, though? There are obviously red flags galore with Mormonism, but as far as I know there's some plausible deniability as far as authenticity goes. Scientology straight up has a founder who said he was going to start a religion for funsies before he actually did it. Joseph Smith went to prison for fraud for promising he could find buried treasure on people's land by using magic goggles. Then he realized if he used his magic goggles to perpetrate a religious fraud, he couldn't be prosecuted. So, yeah. And considering Operation Snow White, Where's Shelley, and other shenanigans, I consider them to be a threat as well. We should be taking them more seriously. Rumors of their ships holding slave labor, people trapped and isolated away from their families, refusal to acknowledge and or treat mental illness, etc. The fact that they tangled with the U.S. government and won is ridiculous, a huge problem, and it's more than just their tax status. It sends a message that with enough people, you can take over the federal government, which should scare every other American into sobriety, but we look the other way or write them off as Hollywood bullshit instead of a global threat. Luckily they are waning lately, but I would feel better if they were finally shut down, for the human rights abuses alone. And this is why Leah Remini honestly deserves a ton of respect. She's probably done more than anyone else to take them on successfully, and expose them and make people aware, and at great personal risk and social ostracization. And it's not like she was once duped as an adult, she was raised in the cult from childhood. One of very few celebrities to actually use their status for a cause effectively. Scientology, hands down. Those people are drinking the Kool-Aid like it's nobody's business. Source, was a member for 3 months before escaping and burning all my Tom Cruise posters. I was in there for a week. They asked if I wanted a job and I knew nothing about them. The ideas they were pushing were contrary to what I had learned, and they claimed the confusion I felt would be helped by hanging on to that 1940s looking electrical thing, can't remember what it was called. Had really bad feel about it, so I stopped going, plenty of phone calls and guilt-tripping to try and get me back. Luckily I hadn't told them where I lived. Took a couple of months before they gave up. I visited their center in Times Square out of morbid curiosity when I was a teen. They had me try out the e-meter and it was hard not to laugh. Only question I remember was them asking me to name a band, and for some reason I mentioned Black Flag even though I'd only ever heard a couple of their songs. The test administrator started crowing about how the e-meter results showed how I really loved Black Flag. I like Henry Rollins fine from what I've seen of him on various TV shows, but to this day, 20+ years later, have still never listened to Black Flag. Please like and subscribe for more daily content.